All right back at you with another sports update. Adrian, Reid, what's good?
What's good?
Yeah, that's good to be back. Good to be back. Go ahead, dive right into it. So, Michigan Wolverines right now, last in the Big Ten, 8-18. They had coming off a really disappointing loss at home against Michigan State on Saturday. So Adrian, just go ahead and let loose on this Michigan program. Juwan Howard, what Manuel did come out and said that he supports Howard. So, where you at with all this?
I think the problem what happens is a lot of these schools when they hire former alums and guys who are proud players in the program in the history, it makes it a lot harder for these ads and the school board and the collectives and everybody else getting together to make these decisions to fire these guys. But just like in any situation, if a guy is not getting his job done and he's getting progressively worse, say we're at a job every day, whether you could be a construction man or a postman or an electrician, you don't have time for the guy to be wiring something in your basement. He messes it up not only once, not twice, but 3 times. And that's kind of where we're at right now with Juwan. He just progressively gets worse. He came in, had John Beeline's guys, got him pretty far in the tournament, Elite Eight. And then since then, Sweet 16 appearance, it's gone downhill from ever since. You missed the tournament, like I talked about a couple weeks ago. You had 2 or 3 lottery picks on your team last year and didn't make the tournament. That is unacceptable. So he might can talk a good game, but he has not backed it up. And as you can see over the last couple weeks, I don't know if you guys caught his post-game press conference after the Illinois game, where he was talking about Terrence Shannon, Illinois star player, how he recruited him and Michigan had a chance to get him. We're not here for that, Juwan. This is not a joke. You're trying to win basketball games I would say Michigan is a top 20-25 program basketball-wise. I know they're talked about for their football program, but this is a big-time job that a lot of coaches will want to take, and he is running the program into the ground. I don't know if they're not listening to him, what's going on, but we talked about the incidents over the years, such as punching an assistant coach, getting into it with the strength and conditioning coach, letting Phil Martelli coach. It's just they're just letting it go. Like they were in the early 2000s when Tommy Amaker was there. They weren't good, and that's kind of where I see this program right now. They shouldn't be like that, especially with the consistency that John Beilein had them at getting into 2 championship games in his time in Michigan. So you take those things for granted, but if you don't really want the job, then you got to let him go. I know you got to make some tough decisions, but you can't be this bad at a program like this, especially in basketball. You have all the amenities, all the accessibility to be a good program, and there's no reason they should be this bad.
Yeah, so Emmanuel given his say he supports him. Do you think he's really going to bring him back, or do you think it's inevitable he's going to be out of there at the end of the season?
I'd be surprised if Ward fires him. I think he needs to be fired, but I'm picturing him being back. It would take a revolt from the school or the players would just flat out quit. But you think about how bad this team is now. Imagine how bad they're going to be next year. I don't think Michigan's even in the top, 50 in recruiting wise. I haven't even looked at some of the recruits they're getting right now. Maybe they get some transfers. With the transfers he's brought in, excuse me, guys, Jalen McClellan's not good. Trey Jackson, not good. They have Reid. Terrence Williams is graduating. His other son, Jace, isn't that good. They lost Hunter Dickinson. It's just Doug McDaniels suspending. Then he's not. I don't know. Like this program is just in the. They're in the. We always talk about in sports. You're in the middle in the muck. That's never a good place to be. But Ward doesn't have any control over this program from the athletic department. He didn't have any control with Jim Harbaugh. He definitely hasn't had any control with Juwan. He's just there. He's just like a puppet for them. And I wish he wasn't even the AD at Michigan. But that's something I could dive into a different day. But I believe it when I see it pretty much. But just like I said, it's just over the last 15 years, it's been a good side of program, and now they're just throwing it all away for Juwan Howard not caring.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian said it all. I mean, as you know, I'm not a Michigan guy, so I don't really watch the basketball, but I do see the record. I catch a game, I'll have one on, here and there if I see it, because I've told you the story before. I think it was 2019 when they were decent, or maybe 2020. I don't remember. 2020 was COVID, but I won money sports betting on them because they were always down and they would come back. So I would do that. So I do look at the scores every once in a while if I did want to place a bet, but hasn't been worth it recently. Like Adrian said, they haven't been good. I think Juwan Howard has lost the locker room there. I don't think kids want to rush to go play at Michigan for basketball because Juwan's there. I don't think he's bringing in, the biggest names. He's not. Granted, he hasn't done great in the past couple of years, but he's not a Tom Izzo. He's not a Rick Pitino. Granted, Pitino's in different programs, but he's not those big name guys. He's not a Calipari or a Krzyzewski. So like Michigan can be a big program, like Adrian said, it could be a top 25 program. It's just Juwan can't bring that to them because I don't think he has the staying power that can bring top talent in. And NIL, you're losing guys to NIL like Hunter Dickinson. He was your top player. He might make an NBA draft or an NBA roster, but I see him as one of those, just those big guys that are good in college and maybe, will be a G League player. But yeah, if you're not going to pay an NIL and you can't recruit kids, I mean, I think it's time to get rid of Juwan. And that seems to be both the thing. He can't do either of those things. So personally, I think they should get rid of him. But like Adrian said, I mean, they probably, if they say that they like him, they'll keep him around. They tend to do that with their Michigan men. So
I will say real quick to feed off your point, and I'm just leave it at that, and we can move on. Part about you talking about them losing the team. That's clear as day as you watch their games. Most of the first half they play well. They're up big, and in the second half they just go splat and kaboom. Blew a halftime of 18-point lead to Rutgers. Blew a lead at Illinois. Was up at Michigan State shooting the ball well. Got blown out in the second half. Tied with Michigan State at home this past Saturday about 7.5 minutes ago, and then Michigan State blew the game up. And so that's part of coaching and not being able to finish games. That's part of coaching, getting these players to believe in and buy in. And he hasn't done that, and they can just slowly see it disintegrate.
I just don't think I don't even know if he coaches every game, does he? Like, I feel like he hands it off to other guys on his team. Like, I know Adrian said this before when we talked about Michigan, but it's like people want to complain about Beeline, but Beeline at least was successful at Michigan. Like,
take them for granted.
Yeah, it's really like, it's the one that got away almost at that point. I think you could have kept Beeline around and he could have done, I think he could have done great things with the program, but I think that they were too caught up in their ways of one. They thought Juwan was the young, young up and coming coach that could, they had Harbaugh who was a former player from the school who went on to the pros and had a solid pro career. Juwan obviously played Fab Five and went to the pros, had a good pro career. Maybe they thought they could recreate a Harbaugh-esque thing. Granted, Harbaugh didn't win a national championship when they hired Juwan, and it came much later. But yeah, I just think the coaching is so up in the air. You can say you like him. I mean, if you want to keep him on your staff, if you want to hire all the Fab Five guys to like work some part of like the basketball athletic department for recruiting, sure. But it doesn't seem like any of those guys are going to be next level coaches because they haven't gotten offered jobs at any other school or any other level. So I think it's just time to get rid of him. I think the experiment's done.
Yeah. So yeah, we got to see if they're going to pull the trigger or not, or if they're going to do it. Well, I think how the rest of the season plays out, like it's already been ugly. You're already bottom feeders, but could they finish strong? Could they go on a 4-game win streak to close out the season? Let's try to salvage something. I don't know. The writing might be on the wall at this point. I'd move on from them, but yeah, we got to see how it all unfolds. So Michigan.
Before we move on, I just want to bring this up. Even if they do go on like a 4-game win streak, they're still bottom in the Big Ten, aren't they? They've only won, I think, 8 games. So
they're last place, but
they're 8-18 overall, 3-12 in the Big Ten. Ohio State is second closest at 5-10, and they just fired their head coach. So
they're 15-11 on the season, aren't they?
Yep,
yeah.
Correct.
So
Michigan is the only team that hasn't won 10 games.
So even if they do go on that streak, I think going on that streak wouldn't even save his job, in my opinion. But
yeah, Penn State and Ohio State have excuses. Ohio State just fired Holtman. It was time for him to go. They knew the writing was on the wall. Then Penn State has a first-year head coach, and Mike Rose from VCU. So they're kind of like retooling after losing Shrewsbury. So all those teams have excuses. Michigan doesn't have any. So just like they did for Harbaugh, they need to hold Juwan to the same standard. And it's probably not going to happen though. So we all know it's a football school, but they're not going to hold them to the same standard, but you got to at least be competitive, and they have just quit totally. So,
yeah, that's all I was saying. See if they finish the season with some dignity, or they still look like quitters for the rest of the way. So, sticking with college basketball, MSU currently 17-9. They're third in the Big Ten, playing Iowa right
currently.
now. So, Adrian, where you at with this MSU team? Can they sneak into the tournament and be dangerous?
Honestly, I think if you look at their schedule and look at Tom Izzo does, and of quick note. They're currently playing Iowa right now at home, down 7. They were down 18 at one or 16 at one point. They've cut it to 7 with 11 and a half left to go in the second half of the game. So I think they'll come back and probably pull this one out. I think they slept walk to the game. But I will give them credit. They weren't shooting the ball well at the beginning of the season, and Tom Izzo always makes sure they play a really, really tough schedule. And I think now they're finally hitting their groove, especially after losing that road game to a bad Minnesota team. Just missed the layup to cut the 5. But I think if the season ends today, they will be in the tournament. I do think they can maybe get to the second weekend. I said they're a second weekend team if they play their best basketball. Tyson Walker's been a stud all year. We talked about, but Malik Hall's up this game. He's been not great all year, but it finally turned the corner. They need to stop playing Matty Sissoko and just run what they got right now. Jay Nagin's got to shoot the ball a little better, but Hogarth hasn't played well. But I think they'll be able to pull together and at least get to the Sweet 16 this year.
Yeah, you heard me before this, Raj, when we were talking about it. I think Hogarth is horrible. I just every time I watch him, he does nothing but play bad basketball. But I'm with Adrian. As you know, I'm more of a March fair weather basketball fan. I don't really watch regular season basketball all that much. But I think they have a chance to sneak in. And if they do, Tom Izzo, you never know. You know, they always say 3 things are certain in life: death, taxes, and Tom Izzo in March. So he can get there. They can make some noise. It depends on what seed they are. I think if they get a relatively middle of the pack seed, they could probably make some noise. Like Adrian said, maybe move to 2 rounds. I mean, it all depends. They just have to get clicking. It's weird there. This team has ended up, after being, we said, ranked 4th in the beginning of the season.
That was too high for them to be ranked in the top 4. I know we did expect better guard play out of Hogarth. Walker's gave you exactly what you expected. Just we haven't got too much from Hogarth. Akins has been inconsistent, but this big man play have got been nothing. But they should have been a top 10 team. But as far as he just let him go by and dunk on them. But as far as like as a top 4 team, no. They want to avoid getting an 8-9 seed because then they possibly have to play the 1 seed. So that could be a Connecticut or Houston, or maybe my Carolina team, or a Purdue team that's really big. And I know they probably can't beat Purdue because their guard plays good and they have Edie. So they've got to kind of avoid that and go on a run right here and finish. Maybe finish at least win 3 of his last 5.
You think if they play Purdue in the Big Ten tournament and then catch them again in the NCAA tournament, you think that would help in MSU's favor?
Not this team. This Purdue team seems a little different to me than most of the Purdue teams. I know they lost to Ohio State over the weekend, but they just look a little different. Zach Edey was in foul trouble that game, so I think their guard play is good enough, not better than last year's. It's a charge, but I think I don't think so. Or they play the way they've been playing. I haven't seen enough from them with consistency in the watch for me to believe that they could beat Purdue on a consistent basis.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm in a different boat. I do think it would help them. I think that they would end up beating Purdue. I know there's the boogeyman of Zach Edey that lurch in the middle of the court, but there's something about Purdue that I never trust in the tournament. They always seem to they come in hot and they always seem to fizzle out right when they get into the tournament. So they obviously made it to the tournament with Ivy and they got kicked out real early. So I don't have faith in the Purdue being a 1 seed. I do think that they would probably end up losing. I think they could beat them in the tournament. I think Purdue loses in the first 2 rounds of the tournament, to be honest with you. That's just personally me. I think that they play in a poor division in the Big Ten, and they don't really have to play a whole lot of competition for like this true blue chip team. So I think that would help them if they play them in the Big Ten tournament and in the beginning of the March Madness tournament. So, but yeah, I don't know. They just got to they're getting things clicking, but at the right time, they just hit a 3.
Cut it to 7.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that they just need to. I think they need to mesh a little bit more. They're getting hot, so we'll see. They got to pull this game out for sure.
Just got to tell you guys how bad the Big Ten is. So bad this year. People always talk about my Carolina Tar Heels playing in the ACC, but the Big Ten is not good. We thought Wisconsin was good. They've been lost 4 of their last 5 games. They've been on a slump. Illinois, I think, has been pretty consistent. I know they lost Terrence Shannon. Northwestern's been solid, but after that, in Michigan State, what else do you have? You have Rutgers is bad. They're waiting for next year. They got like 2 5-stars coming in. Michigan's been bad. Penn State's been bad. It's not a good conference this year.
Yeah, a lot of the teams underwhelmed. I don't think people expected these teams to be Michigan State to be this mediocre. Michigan, Wisconsin. I don't think a lot of people thought these teams were going to be this bad.
Yeah,
like,
that's what surprises me.
Teams are underachieving.
That's what surprises me. Michigan State should be another third. They should be at least maybe 11-4 in the conference. They should be a way higher in this conference. That's what's throwing me by a loop right now. You're getting down. Now they're fighting, trying to claw back to win this game, which is going to be a dogfight now. So, you can't do these kind of things with teams you're supposed to be better than.
Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, we'll see if MSU pull that out tonight against Iowa. They definitely need it. That'll be their 18th win right there. So yeah, we'll see how it all plays out for State. All right. So, the Tigers, they got their first spring training game in 6 days. It's coming up fast. So overall with this team, I don't think them winning the division or getting to the playoffs is too much to ask. I am optimistic about this team this year. I like the pitching staff, Mize, Struble, Matt Manning. They bought in Maeda. I think he's an upgrade over Matt Boyd. So I'm optimistic about this Tigers team going in this year. Well, you finished second last year. You finished second last year in the Central. So can you get to the first spot this year? I don't think that's too much to ask. So I'm optimistic about this team. Torkelson was raking at the end of last year. Hopefully he can pick up where he left off. I like Parker Meadows. I think Riley Green is a good player. I expect this team to compete. I don't think this team getting to the playoffs is too much to ask. And Javi Baez, I'm not going to go into this season with a negative mind frame when it comes to Javi. I know, look, last year was ugly, only 9 home runs. I'm not going into the season with a negative mindset. I'm going to be optimistic about Javi. I'm optimistic about this team, and I think them winning this division isn't too much to ask.
Go ahead, Reid. I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely wide open. It's one of the worst. The White Sox have just fallen. They're getting rid of Tim Anderson. They basically sold the farm in the White Sox. Cleveland is decent, and then obviously the Twins. They won it last year. The Twins. I mean, they've shown that they can play, but I think the Tigers ultimately do have the best roster out of any of the teams that are here. I think, we got to see if Colt Keith is going to come in and play second base. I know that they've designated finally a position to a guy like Justin Henry Malloy, who's down in the minors, who bats well. He's got a good bat. He's supposed to be playing outfield, so I think that they could end up. I think ultimately, they would try and move him to outfield and maybe Riley Green to DH just to avoid some injuries because Riley Green has been hurt, but he is a good fielder, but he gets hurt quite a bit. Parker Meadows is fast, so he's good out there. So I don't know if they were going to run 4 outfielders. I don't know what they would do, but yeah, I mean, I have high hopes. I think there's a lot of guys in their farm system. I think they're ranked 5th. The only thing I wish they would do, which they said earlier in the week when the whole spring training thing started, is that they're not going to bring in another veteran. Like I wish they would bring in Chapman, that guy from Toronto. There's a couple other names out there, just a veteran bat to kind of teach these young guys. Like you said, Torque was raking. Riley Green was hitting really well. Kerry Carpenter was hitting well, but all these guys aren't going to come out and keep hitting like that. Hopefully Torkelson does because he was your number 1 pick a while ago. Riley Green obviously was a higher pick. Carpenter was not. I mean, he might. We'll have to see, but yeah, I want to see Colt Keith. I mean, with his big deal. Like I know a lot of people put the comparison of who don't know baseball terms. This is basically signing like a Jahmyr Gibbs or a Laporta to year's deal, their next 4-year deal already before they even touch the field. So, I mean, if you have that high hopes in him, he should be in your starting lineup. He should be in your batting rotation. He's got a big bat. So yeah, I would like to see more young kids come up. I want to see Justin Henry Malloy. I think he's going to be solid. My hot take for the season is that Max Clark will actually get called up after the All-Star break. I think that the Tigers are going to. I think they took him so high. He's such a generational kid. I think that he'll end up getting called up, or he'll move right. He'll go right to the Mud Hens. He'll be almost there. I think he's gonna move up the farm system quick. So. I'm excited. Also, last thing, I'm excited to see Mize come back and pitch some. I know he won't be pitching full games. He'll probably be in an inning rotation, 3-4 innings maybe, which stinks. But a guy coming back from Tommy John's, you kind of gotta expect that. along with Reese Olson. I think that going to be a really good pitcher. I think he'll end up being probably one of the. He might step in and be the ace. I know you still have Tariq Skubal, but I'm excited for those guys.
I will say this is the first time in not even because the Tigers used to buy the free agents a lot of times. They weren't good at drafting and developing the guys. This is like the first time in a long time I'm excited by some of this young talent that's in the outfield and that's in the infield. Riley Green, like you guys talked about. I know Javi Baez guys are just gonna have to put up with it, and hopefully his attitude's a little better this year, and maybe we can get some type of production from Raaj, because I know you were not happy with his production last year.
I'm optimistic.
All right, we're gonna be optimistic about it, but I am excited about this Keith guy. They've been hyping him up, like you said, Reid. But my biggest concern, and you guys touch on everything that I thought about, and I'm in agreement with you. I think they can contend to win this division because the AL Central is not good. Although the Royals are trying to add a couple talented pieces. They added a pitcher that re-signed their star player Billy Witt,
Bobby Witt Jr.
Bobby Witt Jr. But third base, man, who's playing third base? Really, are we talking about Zach McKinstry playing third base? Is that was what I was hearing?
I think he might start out. I think they drafted that Jace Jung, whose brother plays for the Rangers, I believe. I think took the transition from second to third. I think he's supposed to be doing third now. Colt Keith's going to be at second. So I think they tried to get Henry Malloy at third. He didn't like it. They put him in the outfield. So I know that they designated Jace Jung's position to third, I'm pretty sure. Whether he makes the opening day roster or not, I don't know. But I agree with you. Zach McKinstry should not be at third base. He's horrible.
I mean, we might not want to do it, but sign Matt Chapman. He's a slugger. He hits the ball out the park. America is a great park to hit home runs out of. Take a flyer on him. You can spend $20-30 million, give him a 1-year deal, and call it a deal. And if he works out, good. We can try to keep him. If not, then so be it. But you got to take some chances. I just think Chris Illich, man, he's such a cheap ass, man. Like, you're not trying. Are we trying to win? I get it, but you have the money to do it, man. Make this franchise back to relevance and what they're supposed to be. This rebuild is taking like way too long, and if you can get a veteran guy for a little cheaper than what he's still on the market right now, sign him. Like, there's no harm, no foul. You don't have to give him a multi-year deal right now. Give him something. I'm sure he wants somebody to sign him.
Yeah, I think Scott Harrison and Illich, I think they're running with their young guys. They're trusting their farm system. This is what it seems like now that Miggy's gone. Probably you're getting onto the back end of Javi's contract. I think they're trying to build up their farm system. It'd be nice to see Jackson Jobe at some point too. So
they already said he probably won't be playing this year, unfortunately. So
what is he now? 20, about to be 21?
I think he's about to be 21. Yeah, he was drafted at 17 or 18, and it's third year in the league or something.
I got to check out his number. Is he in AAA right now? Is he in AAA? Is he starting AAA this year?
Yeah, I think he's starting AAA this year. He wasn't last year.
Well, maybe if he does well, maybe they might need him. I think their pitching staff is deep enough for them to be competitive in these games. So maybe if he gets up to a hot start in AAA, you have some injuries, then maybe you can throw him in there.
Another guy that I'd like to see, I mean, if they want to do more pitching, Blake Snell is still in the open market. He's a left-handed pitcher. He pitched for the Padres. He's very solid. And then another guy, but you could just bring him in as a DH if you don't want to keep Kerry Carpenter or someone like that. Bring in Cody Bellinger. He's a former MVP. He played first for the Cubs. He might cost you a lot of money, but like Adrian said, you give him a 1-year deal. This division's wide open. Like, he'd probably sign it. And Chapman, like, that's the last guy that is on this list because I couldn't think of the other guys off the top of my head. But yeah, if you need bats, that was the main thing that they didn't have last year.
Bats, big time.
And this division's wide open, so go pay guys like that. Like, you don't have to have Cody Bellinger playing first or outfield. You just have him play in the DH position. Have him playing it's just, I don't know. I'm with Adrian. Stop being cheap. Go spend a little bit of money. Like, that's how teams win. Look at the Dodgers. Look at the Yankees. Granted, those teams aren't winning like World Series, but not everybody's the Atlanta Braves who can build their whole team through a farm system and be amazing and only spending, a quarter of what the big name teams are. But like, a lot of the big teams win. Like baseball, you win from spending. I mean, it's been proven time and time again.
Yeah, that's all. It's all about. I know they like the young players real quick, but you just got to supplement here and there. So you can go with the young guys, but add a veteran guy in here. fit him in there, and he can help the young guys.
It's
grow
the
and
same
develop.
thing we talk about with the Pistons. Like, we want a veteran guy for the Pistons. You need a veteran guy for this Tigers team. Granted, this Tigers team's probably a little bit further along than this Pistons team is,
100%.
but like, you bring that guy, the guy into the dugout. He tells you, he has the experience. Chapman has the experience in the playoffs. So Snell has the experience in playoffs. Bellinger, he's won a World Series with the Dodgers. So, like, you got to bring one of these guys in, I think. And they could just be playing smoke and mirrors and just saying that they're not going to do it. But I don't have a lot of faith in Chris.
Yeah, me neither. I'm right there with you. But I will say, I am a big Kerry Carpenter fan. I watched him last year, and I kind of like the development he's on. He's a good defender out in the outfield, right field. He can hit you some run power still. I think he gives you everything you want in a good, solid outfielder. So I do like him.
Yeah, for sure. Last question on the Tigers. Reid, who you think should be the opening day starter?
I mean, I think it's got to be Skubal, right? I think he's the best option that you have, him or Reese Olson. But I think it's got to be Terry Skubal. He's probably their number one guy in the bullpen right now, because of the fact that Casey Mize is obviously coming off the Tommy Johns. So yeah, I would think that he's got to be the one throwing out the first pitch.
I would agree too. I like Matt Manning too. I think Matt Manning's a solid option for him. He did okay last year, but I mean they have some guys, but probably Scuba would be the number one guy, especially because we don't know what we're gonna get from Mize yet. So
yeah, I think it should be Mize, but just the fact that he missed all last season, we don't know what type of form he's going to be in. But if he can get back into the form he was before the Tommy John surgery, he'll be the number one guy before the season's over. I don't know if he's going to get the opening day nod, but I think Mize will be the top guy in this rotation at some point in the season.
I think they'll hold him down just because he just came off that surgery. I mean, Tommy Johns takes a good amount of time to come back from. You do come back stronger, but I don't think they'll give him the opening day spot. It would be good to give him the opening day spot, especially for Tigers.
I mean,
fans,
he's already missed. Yeah, he's already missed. He got hurt in the middle of not last season, but the season before that, and then missed all of last year. So I would think that he's farther along than a lot of guys will be, because most guys are ready. If you're not going to bring him back at 100, don't bring him back until you feel like he's confidently ready to go. He's supposed to be your ace. Especially with the technology we got now. I feel like guys should be a lot more equipped to handle this Tommy John surgery. But maybe it's a mental thing. I don't know at this point. But
Jackson Jobe is 21. He turns 22 in July. In the minors, his win-loss is 6 wins, 9 losses, and he has a 3.38 ERA. But last season, when he was playing in the fall league, he was 3-1 for his win-loss, and he has a 2.87 ERA. So, I mean, he's been pitching well before, but obviously playing in the minor leagues, it's not always the pitcher's fault for having a big earned run average. So,
sure
to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how the Tigers, how everything unfolds for them this year. It seems like everybody's optimistic and they got the talent to make some noise. All right, so let's switch over to the Lions. So Reid, the Lions released veteran safety Tracy Walker today. So what offseason move do you want to see from the Lions?
Yeah, so just talking free agents and obviously I don't think they're gonna franchise tag anybody. There's nobody on this team really worthwhile to franchise tag for them. You're not going to give it to obviously St. Brown or Panay. You're either going to exercise their 5th year, or they're probably going to sign them, which would be smart. Starting with Tracy Walker, him getting released, it frees up $5.5 million. It roughly puts him at about $60 million. So that's a ton of money for them to work with in free agency. If they re-sign Goff, and it obviously gives them more money to sign those guys, Goff, Panay, St. Brown. So those are the 3 guys. I think they're the 3 main guys they're going to bring back. I would maybe sign Graham Glasgow just because he can play all over the line. He's reliable. I wouldn't re-sign Jonah Jackson. I think you can really replenish guards in the draft. I think they're for the most part, pretty easy to come by, and you can get, guys that play well. They drafted, obviously, Kobe Sorsdahl from William and Mary last year. but yeah, I think freeing up all that space once you sign those three key guys that you really know where you stand with your whole cap space, it could possibly free up more money depending on how you work the contract. So my one move I want them to do, I know they need edge and they need cornerback. I think cornerbacks are one of the positions that can be most ready once you draft them. Once you pick them up in the draft, a la Sauce Gardner, Brian Branch, Devin Witherspoon. There's a lot of, the list goes on from who played Joey Porter Jr., one of Adrian guys. So, you just see it every year, year in and year out that cornerbacks can be drafted anywhere in the draft and be great players. So I think they should draft a cornerback. The one guy I want them to sign, which, it might be easy to do because he just went to an NFC championship game. He's played here his whole career, would be Danielle Hunter. I think that's the main guy they get. I think he's about 28, 29. He just had, double-digit sacks this last season. You put him opposite side of Aiden. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. You may not even need cornerbacks at that point because the quarterback wouldn't be able to get the ball out. So that's the one thing I think they should do. You guys know where I stand on guys like Max Melton in the draft. That's my guy that should go get in the later rounds. So yeah, I think the number one guy they need to go out and get, whether he wants to sign with the Vikings or not, I think it's Danielle Hunter, and I think they have the money to go get him.
I'm in a total agreement with you as far as what they need, corner or edge. I don't care if you go get both. Cool, they have a cap space, but if they can't go get Danielle Hunter, which I don't know if Brad Holmes is the one going to want to pay what Danielle Hunter is going to want, which is probably like a 3 years, $65 million range, whatever the guarantees is. I don't know, but the guy I have my eye on is defensive end or edge, Bryce Huff from the New York Jets. I already know he's leaving because he already said it. New York's not paying him at the Jermaine Johnson. They have a whole bunch of other guys on their D-line that are good, and they don't want to pay another defensive lineman. Bryce Huff led the Jets last year with 10 sacks. He's only 25 years old. He'll be 26 when the season starts. Young guy's been in the league 4 years. I think is a guy people want to watch out for. A lot of people haven't talked about, but I'm very, very high on him. Can put him on the other side of Aiden. He can get after the quarterbacks in this division. So we'll see what happens. But I feel like you can address corner later in the draft, but also need to work on if you're not going to resign any of your guards because both the guards are free agents, then you need to go pick one in free agency or go early in the draft and keep that strong suit a strong suit.
For sure, I would upgrade receiver too. I would probably move on from Josh Reynolds. Josh Reynolds is a little too up and down for me. It's a lot of receivers in this draft. Draft somebody and add somebody free agency. Another quarterback in the later rounds. I mean, Hooker's the backup, but you want to get Jordan Travis or something in the later rounds, stash him for a year or something. I'm cool with that. And so with Reid, do you think there's any chance that Brad Holmes moves up in this draft?
So I had this conversation with my buddy today. I said there's two things that are happening in this draft, and I'm dead set on this. That what's going to happen is the Lions are not picking at 29. There's two things that are going to happen. The one most likely I think is going to happen is that they're going to trade back, and he's going to try and accumulate more draft capital because he showed that he can pick up studs in the later part of the draft. Or, as we know, I don't know if you guys watched it, but I watched the Inside the Den that they have on YouTube, and he talks about always how he has his top 10 to 15 guys in the that he has first round grades on. Whether one's there at 29, I will see. But we know he likes to trade up and down in the draft. So unless there's one of those guys that's, kind of closer to the middle to end part of the draft that's not going to make it to 29, I could see him moving up and grabbing someone. I know a lot of people have been talking about, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Florida State fan, but a lot of people have been talking about he does the unpredictable. He might go and draft a wide receiver. Like you said, they need one. Keon Coleman is a guy that would be perfect to replace Josh Reynolds. He's a big-bodied wide receiver. He might be on Brad Holmes' list. You could move up to 25 or 24 and get him, and it probably wouldn't cost you a whole lot. Maybe that third-round pick from Minnesota or maybe something next year. But, yeah, I mean, he's so unpredictable. I don't care what he does because he's proven time in and time out that he can just do magic in the draft. He just sent, 3 guys to the Pro Bowl that he drafted, or 2. It should have been 3. Brian Branch didn't make it, but Gibbs and Laporta made it. Laporta showed that he's a stud. Gibbs made everybody regret that, he was able to move back and get him. So, yeah, I think he does one of those two things. It's either he moves back and he gets more of that draft capital, or he moves up and he gets that guy that he really wants. I don't think he picks at 29.
Yeah, I could definitely see him being pretty much aggressive. Whatever he does, just continue to be aggressive and make this team better, because the window in the NFL, as we know, is very small, guys. Unless you have a Patrick Mahomes. So when you have the chance right now to especially with the NFC and the division in the conference not being at the greatest strength, especially with quarterback play, and it's very sensible for them to be able to get the Super Bowl. You got to. I think San Francisco is going to be good next year. Still be a contender. I mean, Philadelphia, I think, will be better. But you're really looking up at San Francisco right now. I think if you make the necessary moves, this team can be right back in the NFC Championship game, competing for a chance to get to their first Super Bowl in franchise history, man. So take advantage of these opportunities when you get it. Spend the money, worry about it later. But like I said, my biggest thing is spend the money on defense and make sure you get the offensive line shored up. So even if you draft, I just listened to a mock draft with Daniel Jeremiah. He had the Lions taking Zach Frazier, a center out of West Virginia, who's highly rated in the draft, and moving him from his natural center position to guard right now until he gets used to, playing until whatever you want to do at Ragnar. But just make a strength to strength, because when we have a good offensive line, that's what make Jared Goff his best. And as far as receiver, Raaj, you can definitely go get a receiver in the third, fourth round. It's a deep receiver draft.
Yeah. I didn't mean it first.
Yeah, for sure. But I just think Brad Holmes needs to focus on the premium positions right now, in order for this team to take the next step. So I just think defense is the first step they take into doing this. I think whoever they're at is, and the crucial part is they got to add a guy who fits the culture of this team. They're not going to take a guy who doesn't fit Dan Campbell and the Lions culture. But I have complete faith in the Lions, and that's never been said before over the time until these last year or two. So we'll see. But it's looking up for them.
Yeah, for sure. Very important offseason too, because it's not like last season. You got 2 picks in the first round, 2 in the second round, all that stuff. You're picking at the bottom of the first half now. So if Brad Holmes really that guy we think he is, we're gonna have to see right here. So what's the update on the state game?
Down 7, Hogarth just threw the ball
into the stands.
In the Cooper, and he dropped the ball. Down 7 with a minute 40 left.
They were down 5, and Iowa just put the perfect pick play, just like fundamental basketball, right to the wide open to the basket. So Iowa's just playing good basketball, and Michigan State's playing really bad basketball.
Yeah. So Adrian, Devin Haney set to defend his junior welterweight title April 20th against Ryan Garcia. It's official. They're fighting April 20th. How you see this one going?
I definitely see Devin winning this fight. I shared with you guys the video on when they were face to face. Devin didn't look scared or worried. Ryan's just all talk right now. He's doing everything he's doing right now is for show. He did that video with Bobby Olive, the girl who's been like a viral sensation.
Bobby Althoff.
Haven't heard boxing, yeah. But I just think Devin's composed. I think he's gonna knock Ryan Garcia out. Ryan used to be, I used to like him, but now he's kind of just, I think he's just doing too much right now. Yeah, there you go, corny. He's just it's not it, man. I definitely see Devin winning this fight easily.
Yeah, you guys know that I'm not a huge boxing guy, but I'm with Adrian. Another guy that I can attest to this, who's actually fighting, who I now root for and watch when I watch boxing, is Francis Ngannou. Anthony Joshua I used to like, and then he turned into he's the same way. He turned into a cornball as well and lost to Andrew Ruiz and basically ruined his career when he was on the major upswing. But yeah, I think Ryan Garcia he's like a professional boxer, but he's like one of those like YouTube professional. I don't know how to explain it. Like, he's not a YouTube boxer like Jake Paul is, but he's a professional boxer. You guys get what I'm like saying?
Yeah,
he's like all
like millennial boxer.
Yeah, okay, that's a perfect way to like put it. Yeah, he's a Gen Z boxer. I feel like it's like even more like worse than that. So it's like, I do think he's going to lose, like Adrian said. I saw that video. Yeah, Haney didn't look scared. Ryan is very much like boisterous when he comes to like how he's been talking recently. He lost that first fight, and he said, "Oh, I came out there and knew I was going to lose it." Like, I don't think he has a lot of confidence anymore after that. Like he's fighting too many big names that he doesn't have any business being in the ring with, in my opinion. And like you said, I think he's just this new age of Gen Z boxers that just post the clips of them punching their hands really fast in circles on Instagram and like think it's cool. So a lot of clout chasing boxers, which I know boxing is like meant to be like that. Like the UFC is, like Conor McGregor made his whole shtick is that, and Muhammad Ali, obviously we know is very famous about being cocky. Like that's part of it, but he's being like a corny type of cocky, like not real cocky. He's like I just think he's going to lose. Like Adrian said, I do think he gets knocked out. He already lost to a gut punch. So
yeah, I think Haney's going to beat him. I think Haney's the better fighter, but I do think this goes to distance. It seemed like Garcia got a little more dog in him since losing to Tank. Like the fact that he ran up on Haney like that, he seems like he has a little more of an edge to him. I don't think he's a better boxer than Haney. I think Haney's going to win, but I do think it's going to go all 12. I think Garcia is going to give Haney a better fight than what people think, but ultimately Haney's going to win. But Reid, you mentioned it a little in your soliloquy. Anthony Joshua, Francis Ngannou, March 9th. They're going 10 rounds. Joshua's the favorite in that one. How you see that one going?
Well, I mean, he went toe-to-toe with what people say is the best heavyweight boxer in boxing right now against the Gypsy King, and he knocked him down and fought really well. And I think Anthony Joshua is less of competition than Tyson Fury is. I mean, Anthony Joshua is a specimen, and he is a good boxer. I'm not taking anything away from him. I just don't think he's as good as he once was. And I think Francis is actually really taking his boxing stuff seriously. I think that he does have an opportunity to knock out Joshua. I think Joshua being favorited is obviously just because he has the experience of being a traditional boxer and not just like an MMA fighter. But I don't think people realize the power that Ngannou actually has. Like he's, even watching him from the UFC, he's one of the hardest striking people I've seen, and he's been working out with Mike Tyson. So it's like a guy who's known for having, super hard punches. I ultimately, just because I'm a fan and I'm just over Anthony Joshua, I do think that Francis Ngannou does win this one. I don't think it's going to be another stunt boxing match like it was against Tyson Fury, because I think Tyson Fury was a big name, and that was kind of a big draw. I think this one's going to be more of a traditional boxing match, and I think Francis is going to take it very seriously. I think Francis is going to actually beat Anthony Joshua, and I don't think he'll go the full 10 rounds. I think he'll beat him in round six or seven. I think that he'll get it done before the 10th round.
I agree. I'm totally in agreement. I got to second that.
Yeah, for sure. I'm running with Ngannou in that one. Joshua, he has the tools to be a great fighter. He just hasn't put it all together. He underwhelms a lot. He loses fights. He has no business losing. He needs a little more of an edge to him. So yeah, I'm going with Ngannou in the upset. So Reid, UFC 298, the main event. You had Topuria. He ended up knocking out Volkanovski in the second round. What did you think of that fight?
You had to bring it up. I thought it was a good fight. I was a little sad. I am a Volk guy. I do like Alexander the Great. But this Topuria guy's not anything to mess with. I mean, he's not anything to sleep on either. He's 16-0 now.
Yep.
He might be the new up and coming guy. Volk is a little older. He came out with that whole shtick of wearing the old man outfit. I saw, I think it was it Ariel Hawani or Nick or Ryan? I don't remember who was talking about it, but I agreed with them when they said I think he should have never taken that fight against Islam on that short notice in Saudi Arabia, and then he came out and did this fight. I think losing that fight to Islam really hurt him, and he didn't look right in this fight. He looked like he was fighting a little timid, in my opinion. And then, like I said, Topuria had like everything going for him. He had the crowd at his back, and he just looked like he was ready to win that fight. So it stinks because, again, I like Volk. He was part of history of one of 5 guys, holding that title. So, it stinks, but it looks like there's a new guy in town.
Yeah, you know how UFC is. It's not like boxing. So when these guys lose, we shouldn't be as shocked, but it fluctuates. It goes. Volk had his run. Now it's Topuria's run. Knocked him out in that second round. We got some good fights coming up. 299, I believe, is going to be O'Malley. 300, I'm not as excited about 300 as I thought. We got Purr versus Jamal Hill. So Dana's doing his best, but UFC is a good sport, man. People, it's very unappreciated, man. And these guys' runs aren't as good. So when these guys lose, and it tells you just how brutal the sport is. That's why I have such an appreciation for John Jones, because I do think he is the best UFC fighter I've ever seen, because he just did not lose. So these guys are winning 3 fights, 3 title defenses, and getting knocked out in their 4th fight. So this is a sport you cannot get cocky in, because you see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. You'll put John Jones over Khabib.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Khabib hasn't had John Jones is the greatest. I'll say that, and Khabib hasn't had as many title defenses as a lot of other fighters. He has a good record, obviously, but I only have Khabib in my top 5 personally.
You said you don't?
Yeah.
Oh man,
he might be 5, but
it's just because he's been gone for so long. He hasn't fought in so long. So guys, people are just, like,
I think he only has Khabib only has 3 title defenses or something like that, because he just retired so early. But I have guys like John Jones, one that's unpopular or that's not very popular. What I talk about for old UFC fans is George St. Pierre. I think he was one of the most complete fighters. I think Anderson Silva is definitely up there. I'm not a big fan of him, but Kamaru Usman is up there. And then another guy I'm not a huge fan of either is Adesanya. He's another guy that I think he's the one that Khabib's probably over, but he's close. So Khabib could be at 5, but he just doesn't have he has 3 or 5 title defenses. He doesn't have a whole lot compared to the other guys. John Jones has I think 15. I know GSP has a bunch. So that's the only reason he kind of stays out for me. Record is impressive, but like Adrian said, he retired young. That's what he wanted to, or retired early. That's what he wanted to do. So good for him. I mean, all those Dagestani guys come in and win anyway, so not like he's missing out.
Yeah, for sure. All right, well, yeah, let's close it out with the Wings. Wings currently got 64 points. They had to overtime win over the Kraken last night. So where you at with this Wings team right now? You still trust them making the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, I still think they can do it. They've hit lulls, but they definitely have the team. The thing that kind of hurt them is not having Patrick Kane for a few of those games. He came back and showed that he actually is still a difference maker, even at his age after the surgery. He had an assist and a goal. Another guy that I like that's playing well is Lucas Raymond. Obviously, DeBrinket's good. So yeah, I do think that they can still sneak in. You just have to, like I said before the show, we were talking about it a little bit. You just have to stop going into overtimes or losing the teams in your conference in overtime or your division in overtime. Or winning. You both get a point at that point, and it kind of just leaves you stagnant in the middle, and you're still standing there. So you really hope teams you're really rooting against teams like Tampa, teams like the Maple Leafs. Those are teams that you really want to get knocked down. So the Wings can move up, but I do ultimately think that they end up getting in. I wish they did something with. You do have the trade deadline. I think it's in March, at the beginning of March. So maybe Stevie Y does something. Maybe he moves. Maybe he brings some guys up from their farm system and the minors, and they can do something. Edvinson's one of the guys that I like. I think he played well when he was here, but the defense has been hurting him so bad. Alex Lyon's been playing great goalie wise. I mean, he's like a top 10 goalie in the league right now, but he can only do so much when these guys can't stop a puck or there's a power play and it's 4v5. So it is tough for them. The defense does not look great, but yeah, I think that they'll ultimately sneak in a wild card position.
I agree. Like you talked about, the defense is the biggest problem, but they find a way to win games. Like I said, if they give up they're giving up 4 goals consistently, so they're gonna have to score 4 to 5 goals a game in order to be competitive. Goaltending is just something I don't think they're gonna be able to fix until the offseason. So they're gonna have to just kind of win this way for the rest of the season. And they're still competitive. They're only a point behind. They're only a point behind Philly and Tampa Bay. So they're still moving up the standards. There's still a lot of time left. I mean, the schedule's coming up. They got a really good Avalanche team on Thursday, so that's gonna be. Let's see what they can do with them. The Blues who are about the same as them. The Blackhawks, who aren't good. No, Bedard just came back from injury. They got the Capitals, who are just average. I think they're gonna play a little above 500 hockey right now. I believe they'll get into the playoffs, probably a wild card spot, and then we'll see what happens from there. But I like what I'm seeing from Raymond. Patrick Kane's been solid for them. The goaltending is just the biggest issue, and it's not a thing I think you can fix right now until, like I said, the offseason. But circle what they got. I think we're in a step in the right direction. But a successful season is making the playoffs and being competitive in that first round.
Yeah, for sure.
For me, I think it's not totally goaltending. Again, like I said, Alex Lyon's been playing really good. Again, he's been playing like a top 10 goalie. It's backup goalies for one. It was tough to see Alex Lyon let in 7 goals against Edmonton. That was just a freak game. Obviously flying out to the West Coast is tough, but congratulations for Connor McDavid for basically scoring a touchdown in the NHL and assists. But yeah, I think it's not all goaltending. I agree with Adrian. Goaltending is still tough for them. But yeah, guys like Husso flamed out. I can't think. Reimer is that the other guy. And then yeah, Alex Lyon. It's Alex Lyon again. It's playing good. It's mainly defense and penalty kill. All are pretty tough for them. They get into these penalty situations and just allow way too many goals in shorthanded situations.
Yeah. So I mean, back to back home games coming up. Home against Avalanche Thursday. Take care of business. Take it one game at a time. So yeah, I'm optimistic about all the teams, all the Detroit teams. Well, except for the
Pistons.
But, hey, boys, we're going Saturday. You look excited about it. I think that's going to be a good game. I picked that one because it's against Orlando. A lot of people, they're young. Paulo's almost, kind of the same name level as Cade. So I think that's going to be a good one for us to go to. I'm excited. Like you said, I hope that they can pull one out. It'd be really nice to at least the one game that I go to have them win. So I'll be rocking the Ivy throwback teal jersey.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I don't really like the way that this Pistons teams look after this trade deadline. They gutted a lot of the roster, and it seemed like they just got back a lot of just guys. A lot of these guys are just guys. They didn't really
nothing. They didn't get enough value for Bogdanovich and Burks, in my opinion. But
not at all. Not at all.
Didn't get enough second round picks. You're taking second round picks 6 years from now. I don't even want to get in Detroit. I don't want to upset my night.
We're not going too deep into that, but it's just I just don't get this. Who's
that guy they got Fontecchio? I don't get why that guy's starting. I get it. He shoots a 3, but it's like he's just not good defensively, and I don't know. Asar is kind of coming to his own, which I liked. He's scored double-digit points the last 2 games before the All-Star game, so we just need Cade to step it up. I like I said to you guys, I hope that they're healthy coming into this game Saturday. They had a lot of time off. Ivy and Duran didn't have to play a whole lot in the Rising Stars game. So yeah, I hopefully they're healthy, and those 4 guys can play well, and whoever decides to take that 5th spot, which is probably going to be Fontecchio, can do what he does, but I hope those 4 guys can play well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, we'll be there Saturday critiquing them. We'll see how they play coming out on the second half of this All-Star break. So
there it is. Good talk about on Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. All right. Anything else you guys want to add before we get up out of here?
I'll save my Steelers take for next week. I have a big Steelers take, but I'll save it for next week, guys.
We do it Tuesday, but the combine's starts next Thursday. So we'll have 2 Tuesdays from now. We'll have a big combine show, I'm sure, or more draft talk. But yeah, that's just a thing to look forward to.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, there it is. Sports update every Tuesday, 8:00. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys next Tuesday at 8. Peace.
Peace.
Peace.